We are
fully.
back.
I'll try not to jinx this one this time, but I think this one is forever.
This one is forever. Hopefully, the the stream picks up the game. It might not. No, every time I click off of it, it goes away. But what matters most is that it will capture our conversation.
All right. Sweet.
All you beautiful people are just gonna have to hang out with us, chatting, and look at our beautiful faces today. Okay. All right. We should be good. We should be good. So, finally settled a little bit. Um, we were talking about your sister going through the genetic testing process a few years before you, and
Mhm.
maybe how that was a little bit of a motivator for you because maybe a majority of your life, or at some point, that was something that you weren't very interested in.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty much all my life, but being married and having daughters and stuff, for future planning. When she went through that, she handled it with grace and class and positivity. And so I don't know, I figured it was time to grow up a little bit and do some future planning.
Sure. Yeah.
So, but yeah. So yeah, her CAG number was 44 and mine's a 46. So
Okay.
yeah.
And your kids were a big motivator in pursuing that as well.
Yeah. Of course, yeah. Yeah.
Um, ha-
Yeah, because it would be one of those things where if I didn't have it, then they dodge a bullet, like
sure.
or don't even have the chance. But yeah, so that was one of the motivators. So
Yeah, and how did that change family communication around Huntington's, and what did those conversations start to look like?
we've been having them pretty openly, because they were around my mom whenever before she passed. So my mom passed at 55.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, so they were around her for a little bit, in the early parts of their life. Um, so they're aware of it, and they knew, that there was a chance. And then, when, like I said, when my sister went through it, and that was 3 years before, and let them know that I went through it, and we just a lot of preparing ourselves, but it's hard on them, it's a struggle because they're like, I mean, they don't want to have to deal with that. Um, you know, only one of them's at risk, but they're both, that's too, it's still, hard no matter what, you know what I'm saying?
It impacts everybody.
So,
It doesn't matter if you're at risk or not. If you're part of the
yeah,
family, it's impactful.
right. Yeah. So, yeah, it's just heavy. And like you said, like because I didn't really know how that would feel, being on your side of that thing. Those are all, thoughts that we have. Luckily for me and my sister, our relationship got stronger, through it. And it probably would have, either one of us that tested negative would be the same. You know what I'm saying? Because
Definitely.
you've been there and you're part of it. So like you said, it affects us all.
For
So
sure. And with with your mom um, being 55 when she passed, do you know, like, how did that process look for your family when you, like, how was finding out about your mom? Was that the same as finding out for you, or was there a lot of difference there?
Oh, like how we found out our mom had it?
Yeah.
Man, it's a long story. You got 2 hours, some beers. No, I'm just kidding. I don't even
Right.
drink. But yeah, my mom was always kind of wild, anyways. And so it's hard to tell when she became symptomatic, but her mom died from it, and I had a lot of great aunts that had it. She was one of six children, three males, three females, and four out of those six kids got it.
Okay.
They all had it. So, um, we kind of assumed that, she had it before she got tested. But of course, when she got tested, it was one of those longer things. It took a year to do, and she didn't get it until like her test results until like, probably a couple years before she passed.
Wow.
So, yeah. So it's kind of wild. But so I've known ever since I was a little kid that there was a chance that, that could happen. So, but yeah.
Do you remember? Do you remember when that conversation first came about when you were a kid?
I don't remember like my mom actually having like a straight up conversation about that. I don't remember that necessarily, but I do remember us seeing it as kids and knowing what it was, like finding out. Because I mean, we're talking, notice it at like a Thanksgiving, family Thanksgiving, you got extended, like, third generation, second generation aunts, kind of stuff. I don't know if I said that right, but great aunts is what
Yeah.
I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so we just kind of knew. And then obviously when you get older and you start to realize, the likelihood of it with 50-50 chance. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I don't really encourage anybody to do one thing or the other, as far as getting tested or not getting tested. I know it worked for me not doing it for so long, and then it's worked for me now doing it, like getting the test results.
No,
So I don't know.
that's well said. Because it's such a personal decision.
Yeah.
Um, Even if there are other people in the picture who may be affected in some way, it's
Hmm.
still very personal to make the decision to find out your gene status.
Yeah.
Um, so whether you deem it necessary to do so or not, there's no right or wrong in that scenario.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. But yeah. Well, what about you?
Um, about my process,
Yeah. Or
well, unfortunately, I didn't have a good friend like you with Wes. Um, so my process looked a lot different. I had the great opportunity to meet Wes at an HD event
yeah.
down in Florida. Fantastic guy.
Yeah.
So
Great dude.
when you brought him up on the podcast, I was like, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Um, he mentioned he was really big into music and um, had been in a band for a while. But
Yeah.
you also brought up how you decided to go through Wes as like your genetic counselor for that process.
Yeah.
Um, Whenever I got tested, I was 18 when I got my blood drawn. And then I didn't find out until, yes, we do love Wes. That's for sure. Chat was saying love Wes. Um,
Absolutely. Shout out to Wes.
for sure. Um, I was 18 when I got my blood drawn, and then right after that, life happened. I went off to
Yeah.
school. I was focused on other things. It wasn't a priority for me at the time, so I wasn't worried about it.
Yeah.
But then met a girl, started getting serious. She knew the Huntington's disease background. She had met my dad and been around him plenty. So
Yeah.
she knew way ahead of time what she was signing up for. Um, but then it came a sense of responsibility for me of like, if we are going to go down this road, if if you're going to stick by me the whole time through anything and everything, I want you to be prepared for what that might look like. So decided to finally find out my results in like 2021, 22. And the place that had done my blood draw was still under active COVID protocols. They weren't taking
Yeah.
any people into their offices. I did not have any genetic counseling sessions.
Yeah.
So I was sitting in front of a screen like you and I are right now with a genetic counselor
Yeah.
who we had a meeting scheduled. She popped onto the call and then pulled up my results and then just said, looking at everything that we have here, it shows that your CAD count is within the normal range, so you're G negative. And then it was like, do you have any questions? And I was just like, I mean, it was very like a punch right in the face, and I was like, I mean, I guess not really.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd be
So
like, no, I don't. I'm
yeah,
gonna.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
So
congrats, man. You know.
well, thank you. There was like you said, it definitely goes both ways. There's a lot of there was and definitely still is a lot of guilt around that being the
Sure.
case.
Yeah.
But that I I help overcome some of that guilt with this and advocacy and doing what I can,
Totally. Yeah.
um,
Totally.
and staying
And just
involved.
being, yeah, and being there for her. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, that's awesome. You know.
Right. Thank you.
We had a conversation with my uncles, the two that, out of the six that didn't have it. And we went to Daytona for like a dude's weekend. It was really good hangs, and we talked a lot. And I told them that I was like, man, I bet like it's got to be just as hard on you guys, And they're like, man, we just wish we could do more. And they do everything. You know what I'm saying? For every one of their relatives, they have always been there, and they show up to our, like my uncle will show up to our shows, just like out of the blue, and yeah, so they do great with that. So
That's great.
I think that's what you do, show up, be there. That's
That's
what you're
right.
doing.
That's right.
So
There are
yeah,
people in the chat saying that they now have new ways to exit rooms. People are going to be exiting rooms like this.
yeah, prove it, do it.
um,
That's funny.
when when did you realize that you wanted to start sharing your story online? Because that's not a small feat. Like talking about Huntington's disease takes a lot of courage, takes a lot of mental and emotional fortitude
Sure.
um, to even have conversations about it.
Yeah, it was probably a conversation. I don't know, because again, I'm in a band. You know what I'm saying? And it's just kind of hard because you don't want certain things to define you as a person. But it's easy for me to pinpoint down to the band, because I was just thinking like, man, this is gonna like define our band, and people are gonna be like, oh, that's a band with somebody who's sick, or that, what I'm saying. Like, I just don't want that to be what defines me, um, or overshadows, the contents of what, our music
Mm-hmm.
necessarily. But after that, life is way too short and things are going to change. I'm already noticing a lot of changes now, our family's noticing changes, and I've never been one to tiptoe around. And my wife, Tara, is the same, and she's the one who, between the two of us, we've encouraged, each other to like, can I cuss on here? I can cuss on
Yeah,
here,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So, we don't have to fucking tiptoe around nothing. And, a lot of people stay in the shadows of like a cancer diagnosis or something like that. And that's like, I don't know. I just don't want to, I don't want to fake who I am.
Yeah.
So I might as well tell people about it up front and, they can do whatever they want to with it. I don't care because I'm okay with who I am. Sucks,
Sure.
but same time, it is what it is.
Yeah, I think somebody who's seen it through a parent, and then somebody who is watching a sibling navigate that world now. I think the people that choose to share their stories and be open about their stories find a sense of control over the disease, when the disease feels so controlling of our lives.
It's a good way to put it. It's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Taking over the control. Taking back control.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, you gotta do that where you can.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Speaking of your band, Fat by the Gallon,
Mm-hmm.
great music. I was listening to Ward Stories recently.
Sweet.
My favorite song so far is G.I. Joe Was Full of Shit, man.
Well, thank you.
Yep.
Really? Yeah.
Um,
Thanks, man.
Somebody said in chat, Chris, my aunt just passed away from HD, and when we were visiting my uncle, he was like, I was listening to the radio, and there was this band that they said someone was impacted by HD, and it was wild. We looked y'all up and started playing your album, and that was a couple months ago.
On Faction? Probably listening to Faction Punk, or
I'm not sure where they were listening to, but yeah, I found you a couple
they
months
said
ago.
the radio.
The radio. Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's amazing. Shout out. Who said that?
That was Erica, but it was their uncle who was listening to the radio.
Awesome. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good to hear. And that's another weird thing too. Because it's like, I don't know. You always dream of like, I don't know. You dream of being in a band, and you dream of doing these things, and you're like, yeah, I can't wait for a song to be on the radio. And then whenever you're finally making an intro of it, it's like, yeah, I wrote this song after I got my Huntington's disease results.
Yeah.
Life. Whatever.
Well, that's what that's what resonates with people, man. I mean, you've mentioned it before on your podcast. That everybody's got shit going on. And even though some of the songs on that album really resonate with me, being connected to Huntington's disease,
sure.
I can also see how it would connect with other people going through similar situations.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Yeah, we had a guy come out from California we had a weekend of shows a couple weeks ago, and he drove from California because he's got a pretty wild story. He was a drummer, and 10 years ago had an accident, and has been in a wheelchair ever since. And so he heard our record and like reached out, and I'm just like, that's amazing, because I mean, I'll take one at a time. If one person can deal, I mean, it sucks that people can like some of the songs, they're poppy, but kind of deep songs. So it kind of sucks that people can relate, but on the same end of that, it's amazing that people can relate to something that, you're just trying to get out of your heart, I don't know.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. Derek on Wheels, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
I heard you reference him. Sick that he would go that far, and he obviously felt really touched by that, and that's just that's how far the advocacy can travel. Yeah.
I mean, it's that, and that's awesome. Like I said, I mean, it's one at a time. Like, I don't know, that's awesome. I'll take it.
Another person said that I'm adopted, and so I just got thrown into this whole world.
Wow.
So sort of like a blindside kind of situation, without having that family knowledge. Do you think it's, speaking of that family knowledge, do you think there's some benefit to having that knowledge? We talked a little bit about the control aspect, do you think there's an element of control of, at least knowing what could potentially lie ahead of you?
Like knowing your family history and stuff,
Yeah,
or you, yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's. I think it's situational. Again, I think it's very situational to the person. You know,
for sure.
um, I don't know. I can see where that would be good. So they got adopted and they don't know the family history of it, or
They may know now, but they didn't know
yeah,
until, I guess, realizing maybe symptoms or diagnosis or.
yeah, man, yeah. Been getting hit up by a lot of people, and also in the Huntington's groups and stuff like that, on Facebook, and seeing some of the things that other people were going through, because they're posting their stories, and um, I we started that conversation real early with our kids, because we wanted them to know, we wanted them to be aware, and again, that's a lot of my wife, she was very good at opening up that conversation door, with everything,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, having daughters and they tell you like, they're like, hey dad, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you didn't have to tell me that, I'm glad you did, but at the
Good
same
line of
time,
communication.
yeah, I kind of want to burn my ears off right now, but I love you,
Yeah.
no, it's great. So yeah, that's always been a thing in our house, and I think that's very important. That's kind of one thing that I would, you know, am would change if I did, like go back and get tested earlier. I would change that communication and knowing that sooner. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Another person in the chat said, "You may be navigating this now, but how do you balance it? Sometimes people dive into the HD world, but then find they need a break or need to find a way to balance it."
As far as
I
like
guess,
towards me, like
yeah, yeah, yeah. How do you balance, um,
I
having Huntington's
luckily,
disease and then your
yeah.
day to day?
So, I mean, basically my day to day is that, right now I retired from work. I don't know if I said that right. I retired from work in August. Early retirement, we downsized and like moved, sold our stuff. Our kids are older. We're grandparents.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, we're older, and so 41. And so we downsized and sold a bunch of stuff, and moved into the city. So I'm focusing on like, music stuff, and this stuff, because this, the podcast thing and just being able to have these conversations and stuff like that. These are all things that'll be here later. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
whenever I'm gone, I don't want to waste any time, like not doing things now. So we're gonna keep balancing as good as possible. I'm like basically a home housewife. You know what I'm
Heck
saying?
yeah.
So I got all day. I work out. Yeah, I get in good exercise and work out and eat. Clean and write music, and skate, hang out with my wife. Hang out with my kids and grandkids, and just trying to live and make memories and keep some and leave love letters like this.
Yeah.
Here. So
Definitely.
it's worth the balance, and it's a way easier balance than. I mean, it's tougher now that I'm, getting more symptomatic, but like my work, I was a home builder for 22 years, and, you know, residential construction, I was, you know, just in the grind every day. And that in the grand scheme of things, this is a way easier to balance because I was balancing all that, while working too,
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't,
Um.
I'm just gonna keep doing it as long as I can.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Um. And the community appreciates it. I mean, the authenticity behind what you do, is really appreciated. People
It
need to
means a
see
lot.
that. Um, Speaking of authenticity, what made you start the podcast? Was there Was there something like this is how I want to leave a legacy kind of thing, or like, you know, you mentioned like love notes, love letters, but what was the motivation behind that?
We just, yeah, me and Tara were talking. My wife's name is Tara, for people who haven't seen our podcast yet. And we were just talking, and everything that we saw, like there was, you know, small things and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But there wasn't a whole lot of people just, you know, talking out like that. You know what I'm saying about it? You know. And so we just felt like there's probably a need for that, you know, the raw, you know, because we're truckers, you know what I'm saying? Like we, you know, talk like, you know, anybody, I don't know. It's just not, it's not a whole lot of, I don't know how to even put that into words. There's not a whole lot of structure in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's just open forum. And I think that makes it fun, you know, but,
definitely.
and then also being able to, you know, like have those videos and those memories, you know, because it's going to leave, you know, we're going to leave those behind, you know, and hopefully people can get something out of it, you know,
For sure.
either talking about it or just understanding, like, you know, there's other people going through the same, you know, very similar stuff, you know, and it doesn't even necessarily only have to be Huntington's, you know,
Yep.
like, you know, word stories, the record, you know, like that could be, you know, many of things,
That's
right?
exactly right.
But we definitely thought that it's important for us to do the Huntington's aspect of it, you know,
For
obviously.
sure.
So yeah, I also feel like that was a sorry. That was a long answer, man.
No, no, you're good. You're good. Um, do what is the value in people caring about the Huntington's disease community specifically?
I think that's very valuable, you know, because that's another thing that we did notice is like a lot of people, nobody knows about it. You know,
Right.
I don't want to say nobody, but it feels like nobody knows about it.
It definitely feels
So
like
I,
nobody.
and you know, like you hear things are in movies, you know, luckily that, you know, Bob Dylan, you know, movie came out with Woody in there, you
Mm-hmm.
know, to shed a little bit of light on it, you know. I mean, a lot of people know who Woody Guthrie is, but I mean, actually, you know, getting that into the movie theaters type stuff. I mean, Woody Guthrie's a fucking legend, you know,
Right.
he's a hero. Um, but I think down to understanding of it because, you know, like you know, even like, I mean, everybody, even police officers and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? Because if somebody pulls somebody over and they don't, everybody just like, oh, you're on meth, you know what I'm saying? And
Yep.
that happened to my mom. You know, she got booked in Denton County Jail. Yeah, I
Wow.
can't find her mugshot right now.
Oh
I was gonna get it,
man.
but yeah, she got put in Denton County Jail one time with that. So that's just more understanding of it. You know, I think is the best thing that could happen. You know,
Yeah.
um, I don't know. You know, it's there's a lot of stigmas with a lot of things. You know, and you know, we just if people just are more compassionate towards it, you know, but not at the same time. Like, I don't want people to be like, oh,
For sure.
Cutler, are you okay, man? You know, I mean, it's nice when they ask me if I'm okay, but I don't need people like, you know, let me get down on your level and, you know, are
Yep.
you gonna be okay? Like, it's like, I'm fine. You know?
Yep. I just it's coming from a place of like I just want you to know fully what that experience looks like. Um, you know, a lot of people talk about Huntington's disease, who may not be directly impacted or who've experienced it personally, and I think a lot of the experiences that people have get brushed over and generalized into this. Oh, it's a disease people have. and they die from it or complications of it, without tapping into the intricacies that really affect people.
Yeah.
And if you don't tap into those deeper veins, how can you create a sense of caring about a community, a specific community, if you don't really
Right.
understand what that looks like?
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
Um,
That's insightful.
little side note here. Does your band name have anything to do with you drinking out of a gallon jug?
No, no,
That
but
came
people do
from.
ask me. Yeah, people do ask me that all the time because I do. I try to drink a gallon of water a day, and if I carry it with me, I'll drink it.
Yep.
Like because nobody wants to carry a gallon jug of water around today.
Yep.
But that has become something that now I set on my amp. But no, it doesn't. But
No, that question came from the chat.
oh, right on. That's funny. But yeah, gallons of water. It's tough.
Heck yeah, it is.
And electrolytes. Gotta keep the magnesium in here.
That's right. Can't
Tara,
can't flush you out completely.
yeah, I know, yeah. She's she's funny, man. Every morning I walk in there and she's got all my vitamins out for me. She's great. Like yeah, she's making sure I'm on track health wise. So
That's
good,
awesome.
you know.
That's good. Uh, Chat said, "Dang, really thought we stumbled onto something there."
I mean it can be. We'll just keep it that. Absolutely. Yeah. I also used to be I was a way bigger guy, so we were actually all bigger back then. So, we were all a lot more fat by the gallon at that point.
um,
But yeah,
as far as advocating for Huntington's disease and talking with people about it, um, do you ever mention to your friends or family how they can get involved or how to take a first step, um, if they want to play a more active role, even if it's on a personal level, like just for you?
yeah. Well, I mean, I definitely do. And I'll send them links, you know, um, like, I mean, I'm sure if y'all have HC Reach has links, I'll do that, yeah, I've sent people to HE Genetics. I've been sending people to West, family members who, thought that maybe they did have it and were ready to get tested. I've been pressing, or pushing his name too. So, um, yeah, I'm always spreading the word, that kind of stuff. Good to get people involved. And I don't know, the more people are, reading up on stuff and, the more things, I guess, what we got, Texas got Huntington's Day, May 15th or something like that
That's
today,
sick.
which I'm in Texas. So, but some friends of mine sent that to me today and I was like, well, it's people are thinking about it, or people are hearing
Mm-hmm.
that and they're, you know, sharing it, So, and even if that's just a couple more people, that's awesome.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
definitely.
But yeah, we're definitely looking to get involved. I mean, we do some of the walks, we went to Washington last year and did one there, and then we did one in it's at Grand Prairie here in Dallas too.
Okay.
So HDSA walks, we've been doing those. We did those back when my mom was still around, like I remember pushing her in a wheelchair in the pouring rain,
Mm-hmm.
and a couple of those. So yeah, it's a lot of memories there. So yeah, stay active and stay involved as much as possible.
Speaking of staying active and staying involved, do you remember um, one of the first instances of you starting to get involved in the community, or even feeling a sense of community?
Like after testing or before testing or something like that,
Um,
or
that's a good
like
question. What about before testing, growing up with a parent that was going through Huntington's disease, and then after that, what about now? What does that sense of community look like for you now?
I it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of funny because like, I love my mom, like for sure, but our relationship wasn't the best, like
Sure.
growing up. But when she got sick, that it couldn't be like, holding anything over that, because she has that, now, because now, she can't even, combat, you know, the past or anything like that. So I had to kind of, take her for what she was,
Mm-hmm.
at that point. Um, and I don't know, yeah, after whenever we buried her, we were standing in a graveyard, and this is like, I mean, this is, you know, kind of dark, but I remember standing there and looking down, and almost the whole freaking plots were full of our family. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that was wild, because it seemed like my mom got buried there, my some of my aunts got buried there too, so you go back and you're just like, holy shit, like we're literally this whole place is full. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that is when it really was like, oh, like this is, I don't know. Like, yeah, getting involved is good. Being loud is good, being quiet isn't good, and I feel like a lot of my family did go quietly, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Comfortably, in their homes and
Sure.
stuff like that. And of course that's way before social media type stuff anyways, but to me it's like I know that I'm gonna continue doing what I'm doing now, and people are gonna know that, something's wrong with me. So I might as well be loud about it and try to, bring some more heads to it, you know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a couple
So
questions from the chat here. Are y'all gonna be performing in North Carolina anytime soon?
we're actually talking about uh road trip plans. Nothing yet, but hopefully,
Put us on the
we want to
map.
go back here. Let's go. We'll do it. North Carolina, is that where you're at too?
That's where I'm at too. Yep.
Yeah, North Carolina, that's fine. Yeah, we like the East Coast, you know. So I don't know. We're trying to do some more traveling to get back on it. Our bass player just had like another baby. I'm in a completely different world speed right now. My whole
Yeah.
band has little kids, and I'm like, let's go on tour. You know, running
Yeah.
out of time.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
No,
No, that,
take it day by day.
that's
So
right.
yeah,
Put us on the map
but
though. When
no,
y'all start planning it out, get us on there.
yeah, yeah, and we'll be in touch for sure. Like, yeah, I'm definitely more into getting more involved for sure. So,
There's
but
another
it is
question.
all. Go ahead.
They said, "Will you be at the Phoenix HDSA conference this year at the end of June?"
At the end of June, we actually have shows in Dallas in June, so
Okay.
I don't think so. But I'll keep my head on the swivel for some of these, dates. You know,
Yeah.
I like seeing Wes too. Anytime he's around, those events.
Now
Um,
you've got people in the chat asking about Indiana and Chicago.
just send it. Yeah, let us know. Tell us that, check out the music and tell us if you want us to come. We'll come for sure. We're down.
Erica even said that they'll provide housing for you.
Prove it. Thank you, Erica. Now we're definitely coming. I mean, if
Oh, look at
anything,
that.
we'll set something up around that, like we'll make that the main part of the trip and then just sprout off, a tour or something. So yeah, but we're down. North Carolina. It's not that far.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Um, do you recall a time when you, at any point, whether it be when you were younger and with your mom, or when, or now, where you face stigma?
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah. You
The
know, I mean, this this whole part of the Huntington's journey for me, you know what I'm saying, is kind of weird too because it's not all, physical to where people can see it. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And so, it's almost like, I don't know, if people aren't aware of it, of what it is, and it's easy to look okay. You know what I'm saying? And that's almost being stigmatized. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know. You get what I'm
Yep.
saying? Like, um, but yeah, that, yeah. And, it's like people look at you like you're a leper. You know what I'm saying? Like whenever you're walking, with your mom, and I do remember a time where, and if I'm going to send this to one of my best friends because he's going to trip out, but I took him home and I was in middle school and we went, my mom, like I went to my mom's house for the weekend and he went with me and my mom took us to Jack in the Box and she like pulled up to a park, which was like a softball tournament going on over here in the skate park, like right next to it, and she's like, and I was a little kid, and she was like, we're going to go eat at this park. And I was like, man, I was like, I am not getting out of this car and having a picnic with you in this, in this park eating Jack in the Box. I was like, let's just sit in the car. And even my buddy was like, dude, like, get out of the car. We can go, sit and have a picnic. I didn't. And I wish I would have done that. I wish I would have gotten out,
Do you think it was the Do you think it was the fear of the stigma that held you back on that scenario a little bit?
Probably, and just being a little kid, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? I
Oh
mean, that
yeah.
was like early, seventh grade or something like that, eighth
Oh
grade, I
yeah.
guess it would have had to have been, so it was middle school. And so just being, I don't know, just being an idiot, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And
No, I get
there,
it.
I look back at things like that and I, shouldn't give a fuck, and
Oh
I,
yeah.
because I don't want anybody to give a fuck, towards me,
Yep. Yep.
other than like, what's up, how you doing, type stuff, but not, yeah. Yeah. What about you? You know?
Um. Yeah. I mean, there was always a lot of stigma, and I don't. I think. No, I don't think I know. My with my dad having Huntington's disease, I had to at some point make the conscious decision to just be like, this is our life,
Yeah.
and people are gonna view it in different ways, but I can't let that determine how I live my life. I can't
Yeah.
let it stop us from going out to eat and enjoying food and hanging and having a good time. Um,
Yeah.
we whenever his symptoms um, got a little bit more physical, um, and the movements were really really strong. My dad was a identical twin, so for both of them we had shirts that said, "No, officer, I'm not drunk. I have Huntington's disease."
Yeah.
We would all, I'm telling you, 10 times out of 10 have them wear those shirts anytime we went out, somewhat as a, hey, this is what I'm facing. And so if you're curious, like, it's really easy for you to read the shirt and find out about something.
Sure.
um and then two, like, it was a real situation that we had to consider, like,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
my dad going out with me and my sister and being symptomatic, and uh,
Yeah.
people from a standpoint of caring, and
Yeah.
being like, this guy is obviously impaired with his two kids.
Yeah.
And then, scenarios arise based around that, and it's like, no, we're good. This is just
Yeah.
what life looks like for us.
Yeah.
So there
Yeah.
was definitely, I guess the best way to put it is, at first there was shame,
Yeah.
but I also came from a family that wasn't extremely open about it,
Right.
up until it was so in your face you just couldn't avoid it.
Sure.
And I think that contributed to some of that shame, that social shame, and giving into the stigma, was the lack of conversation, and just the having the knowledge to navigate those conversations with people that were concerned or curious.
Yeah.
And as as experiences grew and we did more things and we were out in public more often, um, it just became a normal thing.
Yeah. Which, yeah, which is good. It's that mindset, because, yeah, when I was a younger kid, I didn't have that, necessarily that mindset. We do now, we
Yeah, yeah,
accept it,
exactly.
and I think that's healthy, that's a healthy way to look at it, because you
Definitely.
can't change it, can't change it. Got to embrace it. So, yeah.
No, I remember. I don't remember who all was part of our group, but I remember going to uh, Carowinds, which is an amusement park that borders North Carolina and South Carolina. And my dad was in a wheelchair by this time, so we got. Oh man, we used those perks like they were gonna go. They were gonna get pulled from us. We were getting in front of lines, and he was riding rides with us. But what we didn't realize was that the Huntingtons had sort of messed with some of his equilibrium. I remember being a kid and my dad riding rides with me, no problem.
Yeah.
Man, we got on this ride. I I want to say it was like called the Cyclone. Somebody might know what I'm talking about. But it had two loops back to back.
Yeah.
I remember I was sitting right beside my dad. We hit that second loop and it stops you because that's the end of the ride. And I
Yeah.
look over and I'm like, "Did you have fun?" And man, he just vomits
Yeah.
all over his shirt. And I was like, at this point, I'm probably like 16,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh man, and I just instantly like snapped into action. I was like,
Yeah.
this is my dad. I gotta
Right.
I gotta take care of him. Who
Sure.
who who gives a fuck what other people are thinking, or you know,
Yeah.
and it was just the transition from being that really young kid who was nervous to be out in public with my dad changed to something that was like, this is my dad, and
Yeah.
we're not going to let it stop us from making memories and enjoying our
Yeah.
time together.
That's awesome. You know, sad and awesome at the same time, but that is, yeah, it's awesome for you, on you,
It, it definitely can be a little sad, but I recently made a video talking a little bit about all the things that my dad taught me before he passed away, and
Yeah.
then all the things that he taught me while progressing through the stages of Huntington's disease. Skills that I have now that I may or may not have ever developed, or
Yeah.
abilities like deep compassion for people,
Yeah.
um, that I may never have without those experiences, and without facing those challenges, and without seeing someone that I care about in those situations. I may never have become the person that I am now.
Sure.
So I, I look back at it in almost a thankful kind of way, because there are plenty of people in this world that don't have compassion and won't take 2 seconds to understand or put themselves in somebody else's shoes. But I think anybody that is impacted by Huntington's disease in any way, whether positive, family members, friends, it sort of opens a door or window for you to be like, man, this is something that I've never thought about. And this person, you mentioned your sister handling it with grace, and this person is living their life while navigating this disease. It
Yeah.
sort of puts things in perspective for people.
Yeah. Totally.
We had another comment in the chat that said, "My mom told me she tested gene positive for the HD expansion when I was in elementary school, and we had to keep that a secret from many family/support networks for a while. It was ingrained. processing through that took years to deconstruct as an adult.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's tough, like to not be able to talk about it,
Yeah.
That's
But
that's
they said, but our journey with HD has made us so empathetic and compassionate and dedicated to the fight slash taking care of each other.
right on. Yeah. It is. It's a sucky thing, like you mentioned, perspective, and like Huntington's is a crazy ass thing to gain some perspective on things on. It is a very good perspective giver.
Yeah.
You know, so like you said, yeah, it's not all bad. You know what I'm saying?
No, not
So
at all. And you definitely,
yeah,
it's definitely one of those things where you've got to, sometimes you got to push through the shit to find some of the good.
yeah, for sure.
Um,
Yeah, a lot of times. Just
but
dealing
it's
with the
there.
shit.
It's definitely
Yeah.
there. Do you have any advice for being open with kids about Huntington's disease? That somebody asked that in the chat.
I mean, like I said, my wife was very quick about that early on. Just communication in general, and I think, yeah. So we just kept everything open. Um, I think it's very important to have those conversations. Um, I think it's easier if there are, relatives and stuff, that they see before. Like my kids saw my mom. I have a piece of gum stuck on the roof of my mouth. Hold on one second.
You're good.
Um, but yeah, since my kids saw, my mom, it made it easier for them, and that we just were honest with them. I don't know. It's not like it's hard because it's like you want to tell them what it is, and then it runs into the family, and it's something that you need to talk about. But it's also sounds very hard to like if you're having a conversation with like a 3-year-old or something like that, you're like, you have a 50-50 chance of getting this or not, they're like, what the fuck? Like I'm
Right.
only 3. I don't know.
Right.
It's
Right.
tough. Yeah, it's a tough call. But I do think that, communicating it's helped for us. Again, I'm not here to tell anybody to do anything,
Yeah.
Um, but I think it's got to be so hard to not lie but hide,
Sure.
like I don't know, I'm one of those people who doesn't even want, I don't want to worry about my phone going off, you know what I'm saying? Like that should just be open. I shouldn't even care about that. And then if I happen to lie about a disease on top of that, and then that's basically lying about who I am, and I don't know, I can't deal with that stress.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know
No, for real. I mean, because
yeah.
I think you said it right. I mean, you're what it is part of us.
Yeah.
It's part of who we are,
Yep.
and have like thinking about trying to conceal a part of yourself is draining.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
I think a lot of it starts with these conversations and normalizing it and talking about day to day life.
Yeah.
And um, I like to say that we're just like everybody else. We're living our lives, we're doing our thing, and just like everybody else.
Yeah.
But we have a very unique challenge that we face.
Right.
But it doesn't make us any less human or less normal or less capable. It's
Right.
unique.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's good because it is part of the story, but it doesn't define, us,
No,
So
no, and it doesn't. Definitely does not have to.
yeah. Yeah. It's deep in the chat today, man.
Man, that's how we roll.
Shit.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, this is awesome though. I mean, I think it's awesome, I appreciate what you guys are doing. I appreciate you having me on for sure, because it is good to meet, and got to get out for sure. I got to go to some of these events and stuff like that too.
Oh man, you're now that this is gonna be on here. People have seen you tonight. People see what you're doing. Your podcast is getting lots of views, and people are asking questions, and y'all are doing a great job of answering those questions. I did want to take a moment before we're pretty much close to wrapping up, but I did want to take a moment to say thank you personally for me. It was your most recent podcast that you put out. You were talking about some of the symptoms that you're currently facing.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you for being open and sharing about that, because I have personally seen people who are impacted by Huntington's disease who, for one reason or another, have a hard time acknowledging some of those symptoms, or coming to terms with it.
Yeah.
And I think it makes situations harder when those things aren't faced and acknowledged. So you having the ability to say, this is what's going on and this is how I'm working through it, there's so much value there.
Thank you. I mean, that means a lot, because it does feel like, whining, or complaining,
Not at
and
all.
I consider myself very able-bodied,
You are.
and I'll just continue, and just, do whatever you can, just deal with the shit,
That's
as long
right.
as possible. So yeah, but yeah, I've dealt with that too, with relatives and stuff, and like like man, that's it's tough to see, because they don't see it, or maybe they do see it, you know what I'm saying, like
Yeah.
symptoms and stuff, but yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if it necessarily works for everybody, but I do appreciate that, and thank you.
Yeah.
It's vulnerable. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh yeah.
but it's life, life is vulnerable these days. So,
Somebody
it
in
is
the
with music too. So it kind of trained, I don't know, kind of trained that, I guess, in me.
Yeah,
What were you
you're
gonna say?
spilling yourself out in your music, and
Yeah.
it's definitely evident that you're experiencing that. Somebody in the chat was saying it is helping others resonate and truly understand. It is so important when someone is able to have a platform / able to get in the shit of it.
That fucking means a lot, that means a lot. Shout out to the chat for sure. I mean, we're
um,
just gonna keep fighting the good fight as long as we can, for sure.
that's exactly right, and we'll have to have you out at some events, man. I really
Yeah.
appreciate you coming on here tonight and chatting with me, and just opening up and letting loose, and being honest and
Yeah.
raw.
Well,
And
yeah, I appreciate you, and sorry about the technical difficulties and stuff like that. I mean, this is
don't
all
worry
good.
about it
This
at
work,
all. That's exactly
you
right.
know. And we do have a rain check on a real Uno game, maybe an in-person
Let's
Uno
do.
game.
We'll
Who
just
knows?
do an
Yeah.
in-person one.
All right, let's do that. Yeah, because it'll be way funner,
That's exactly right.
But yeah. Well, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate your platform. I appreciate everything y'all are doing. I appreciate y'all thinking of me, man.
Of
So, and
course.
I'll be thinking of y'all too. So, and I'm just trying to think if I missed any shout outs. HD Genetics, we did talk about that. Shout out
Yep.
to Wes one more time and BJ. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Make sure to plug all your stuff. Go ahead. Take your second.
Fat by the Gallon. We have a website. If people are down with websites, and you can just go to there and it has everything. But we're on everything, social media stuff, TikTok, whatever. Apple Music. We do have vinyls that are being printed now. And it's looking like mid-June we'll have those, so they'll start shipping as soon as we get vinyl. So we'll start putting those on
Nice.
the website and stuff. So right now our store is off online, but all the music's on every platform. You can watch videos on YouTube. Bound for Misery podcast, and that's the podcast. So we're here for it, man.
Thank you, Chris. Really appreciate you taking the time to do this, and
Oh yeah,
it. I can't wait to meet you in person. I'm sure we're gonna have a good time, and
straight up.
and just chat like we've been buddies for a while.
Yeah, that's what happens, man. That's what happens. I appreciate you, man, for real. And everybody in the chat, thanks again. Thanks for the feedback. And Erica, that's badass that you heard about Huntington's and our band on the radio.
Yeah.
Faction Punk.
Real quick, I wanted to go back to that. They said that their uncle was the one that had heard it, and they were in Maryland.
Oh, well, that's awesome. It's probably Faction. Yeah, it's satellite radio, Faction Punk.
That's
Now it's a
awesome.
Green Day. Green Day took over that station, so I don't know when they're going back to Faction, but I
Okay.
don't even know if they are. I mean, I hear it, but I don't ever hear our song on there. But I'll reach out to Green Day and be like, make sure our shit's still on there. Billy Joel.
I saw that you had in the background of your podcast. You have is it a Dookie album cover?
Yeah, it's right there. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it
I
is.
remember.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, loved that album. Sitting in middle school, listening to the Dookie
It
album.
changed my life. Changed my life, man. I was in fifth grade, I think, or yeah, I was at elementary school for sure. But yeah, I traded a CD for Dookie. I think it was 95. And I still have that CD. I had to buy another one,
Oh, that's
but I
cool.
still have that original CD. It's funny. So, yeah, shout out to Green Day.
Yeah. All right, Chris. You have a good night, man. Thank you again,
Thanks
and we'll
again,
hopefully
man.
see you soon.
Yeah, nice to meet you, man.
Nice
Take
to meet you.
care. Thank y'all. Bye.
All right, everybody. That was our story time with Chris Cutler, musician, advocate, an impacted member of our community. He, I, I know y'all have heard it from me a million times, but when people come on here and they share their story and they open up, that's how people start to realize that we're more than a disease. We're more than just people that are impacted by Huntington's. We break those barriers and remove those labels and diminish those stigmas. And that comes from people like Chris coming on here, doing their thing, talking to people within their own communities and sharing their stories. It goes a long way. It goes a really long way. There are impacts from that won't be seen for a long time, but they reach people and they matter. So thank you for being here. It does mean a lot to come out and show support for somebody getting on the live stream. It's not easy to do, so it's always important that we thank them and know that it's valuable. Hope y'all all have a good night. Thank you for being patient with us tonight as we work through some kinks. But I love you.